So I wasn't going to do a February tractor collection and, miscellaneous other stuff update, but I decided, you know what, I have so many projects, I kind of have to. So first of all, you've probably already seen in the cover photo for this video, these two machines here, which are, of course, homemade, and I built them from scratch. So the bulldozer just has one track left to do, and then that's completely done. So I built this with 4 hydraulic motors, on all 4 tires. Then just a simple rebar with tire chain tracks, which actually seems to be pretty effective. A little Predator 212 engine, which doesn't sound like much, but surprisingly enough, it seems anyway to be plenty of power. I'll probably end up drilling out the carburetor jet to get a little bit more power out of it. But it's basically done. I don't want to show too much more on this just because next Saturday will be the part 1 of the video series on this. So under the hood, actually it turned out pretty nice. Very simple hydraulics. You just got a hydraulic motor or a hydraulic pump, reservoir, filter, valves. Of course, the part that wasn't so simple is getting these hoses and stuff, to the valve and everything. So you push the 2 levers forward, it actually goes forward on each side instead of, forward and reverse at the same time. 3D printed these little hydraulic hose mounts, which are kind of neat. Probably gonna 3D print a hood handle to lift that, and then maybe a little hood ornament, which would be cool. And we're gonna do the same thing on this machine, a hood ornament and a little handle for it. But don't want to say too much more on that bulldozer because that's gonna have its own video series coming up, and I'll talk about it more then. But this machine here, I didn't get any videos on, but I'm gonna make a video of its own talking about it. And yeah, I know the tires are on backwards. I'm gonna get to them soon. I just haven't did it yet. But has a 18 horsepower or 16 horsepower. So if you look up here, it says 18. And if you look through this faded sticker, it says 16. So one of those 2 parts aren't original, and who knows what it is. I took this 15 horse 420 out of it and then put that engine in just because I wanted some more low end torque. And then has a 3-point hitch, which I got to do some adjustments on. The arms only move up and down like 4 inches, which isn't enough. I'm going to cut these arms, make them shorter. Probably cut the welds holding these little pieces on here, and then shrink them up a little bit, just to make them shorter. And then I'm going to do something with this linkage to make it, move up and down further. But that can be kind of whenever, no hurry. And then I also have to make this battery cable longer because it's not long enough. Battery tray is way up here. But I'll show this machine more in its own video coming up. And then I guess that's about it on that, other than this was that little red articulated loader I made about a year ago. I didn't really like it, didn't really have a use for it, but can definitely say I like it now. This machine is really cool, and with it being, 4-wheel drive, it's got, hydraulic motor in all 4 wheels, just like this bulldozer does. And for basically a garden tractor, I haven't really tested to see what it could pull yet, but I'm guessing it can pull quite a bit. I know it weighs a lot. It weighs well over 1,400 pounds, just because my forklift can't lift it, so it's definitely got the weight. Not much else has been done in here. If you've seen that SS16 and SS15, which is under one of those covers video, those 2 tractors run and drive really nice now since I fixed them in that video, so hopefully for now they're fixed. Then over here is my Roper 20T, which is no longer one of my work tractors. It's been my work tractor, actually my main work tractor since like mid-2017 when I first put this together. And I've been, wanting to replace it for quite a while just to have something fresh. Has a wore-out Honda GX390 in it, which is a really good, reliable engine, even though it's wore out and basically doesn't have any compression. But that engine will get a full overhaul and rebuild. I do have an Onan I could stick in this, but this tractor has some sentimental value to me just because it's one of my first ones, and it's my second ever tractor. I tore everything apart and repainted everything. And then the 318, I still got to get hood decals. I have to put some tread stuff on the floor. I have to get a seat, and then put the taillight panels in, and then probably some little touch-ups on stuff. And this is done. which I kind of left everybody hanging on the video on this, but I'm hoping I can get that stuff fairly soon and then get the final video for this completed and uploaded. The John Deere 212, I took the 212 out of it for the bulldozer, so now I'm deciding whether if I want to put this 8 horsepower Briggs in it, a Honda GX390 I have, or what exactly I want to put in there. And then I don't really want to buy a 212cc engine without them being on sale, because they're $50 higher right now than literally what I paid for them 2 months ago. But I do kind of want to put a 212 in there just because it's kind of funny having a 212 and a 212. And then my Wheelhorse C120, I took out the 390 Lyfen engine, I believe it was, and put that in one of my Sears tractors that I took that 18 horse V-twin out of. And then put that in here, so I'm actually getting ready to sell this. I have some carburetor work to do, and this can be up for sale. Carburetor, I either have to replace the bowl seal in this one, or find a whole new carburetor, which is going to be tricky because these engines are kind of hard to find. And then hook up some kind of choke cable. This choke is in a weird spot and there's no place to actually hook the cable. And it's in a spot where it's like it really needs to have a cable, especially if I'm going to sell it. So it's unfortunate that this engine doesn't have electric start, because that would have been a nice feature. Normally I just keep every single tractor, not really have a need to sell anything. But after I got the 2 Wheelhorse, just to see what all the hype was about. And they're not really what I thought. I'm going to keep the 416H just because it's, you know, painted up with custom paint color, all metallic red and everything. And then this machine you're looking at is this SD16. I just need to get put back together. I've got 8 horsepower Briggs. Probably just showed you that a minute ago. But I took this out of another Sears that I restored a couple months ago. And then, because I wanted to put a 212 in there because this engine wasn't running very well. And it has a weird oil leak, which ever since I took it out of that Sears, it hasn't leaked a single drop. Like, it's been sitting here for like 2 weeks, and the only oil that's around it is oil that was already on this tractor. So I had it sitting before that on the bench inside wanting to fix it, and it hasn't dripped at all. So it's like, really? I took it out of a tractor just because it leaked oil, and now it hasn't leaked oil at all. And it's full. It ain't like it all leaked out. And then John Deere 300, probably later this afternoon, if not tomorrow, I'm going to bring this up front, pull this 14 horse Kohler out of it. I believe that's in it. Oh, that seat's too heavy. I can't lift the camera, but I'm going to pull that Kohler out. And then my new work tractor is a John Deere X475. It used to be my grass cutting tractor, but because I now have, of course, the diesel, because I've been wanting to mow with a diesel, that there's, you know, this tractor is freed up, so I might as well use this as a work tractor. It has a 3-point hitch and everything. And then it's a 3-point hitch I made. It actually fits category 0 3-point attachments on these holes here, as well as category 1 on the further out ones. And it also fits Sears attachments, so my Sears tiller will fit right on the back. Everything like that will fit on the back. It's like something like a Sears grater blade will look a little silly because this machine's like 2 feet wider than a Sears. But, you know, it is what it is. That 35T Hydro, which I'm going to show you in a minute, is going to be my new Sears work tractor, and I'll show you why. I also got brand new tires for the back of these two. I got a decent deal on those, so I just went ahead and got 2 sets. I just bought new tires because I was tired of filling up the old tires because they were full of cracks. Seems like every time I wanted to use one of these, I have to fill up the tires with air, so I just got whole new tires. And they're egg tires. They both have these really nice egg tires. They were a little pricey, but actually not as bad as you'd think. So the tread sticks out like an inch. And then they match the front tires I already had, you know, in terms of tread. So it was kind of silly, you know, having knobby front tires and turf rear tires. 35 horse Sears is no longer a 35 horse Sears. It's actually going to be a 16 horse Onan powered Sears. And then it's got shaft drive hydro transmission out of a John Deere front mount mower. That's got really high gearing in it, if I remember right, because with 23-inch tires, it has a top speed of like 10 miles an hour. So these 25-inch ATV tires I have, this thing's going to go really fast. So hopefully it's not going to go too fast. Has, of course, power steering still. I've got a tricky job ahead of me of hooking up the drive shaft. And then this is going to get a video of its own, but the drive shaft is way down there. Like, I'd say about right here is where the drive shaft comes out. If you follow that along, the input or the output on the engine is actually up here. So I got to do like a drive shaft with like a belt with a jack shaft. It's a mess. So, but that'll be coming up probably in the next couple weeks. You'll see some videos on this. And then, of course, the 35 horse isn't going to go in that. Like I was saying, I have this Onan here, which is out of the Simplicity Power Max. I'm going to put that Onan in there. And it already has some pulleys on the flywheel, which will be perfect for my jack shaft setup. And that Onan runs actually really good. It does smoke a little at idle, which is concerning, but hopefully it'll be okay. Now, if you've seen that video for the short amount of time before I pulled it off because it didn't make any sense, and the only tractor out of the three that I showed in the video that I still have is that 300, so I'm like, you know, there's no point in having that video still up there, so I pulled it off. The Simplicity 4040 will be coming back probably later this summer. I need a whole new transmission and everything for it. I have the transmission. It was missing the transmission. I have a replacement transmission for it. Don't know why I'm pointing at it. But I have a replacement transmission that'll work. It's not the one it should have. But I'm going to get a differential rear end out of a Case 444 sometime this summer. And then stick that in here. The reason for the Case rear end is it has 5 lug hubs. And that'll fit perfectly on those tires. And the transmission I have is just a hydraulic pump, basically. So that'll work perfectly on that. This frame's completely, you know, stripped down to nothing. So that's ready to get rebuilt. It'll get power steering, which it didn't have before. The 35 horse V-twin, you know, a bunch of upgrades. It's a tractor I was just going to part out, but it's too rare to have, you know, just keep parted out. I wanted to have one. Especially since that economy tractor that if you would have seen in the short time that video is up, looks like this now. I don't really want to talk about it too much because I paid a lot of money for that tractor and this is all that's left of it. I'm not too happy. But I have some, you know, tall tires that I'm going to put on a Sears. Some cool round looking fenders I'm going to put on a Sears. So that'll be a project probably later this year. And then I did go through a bunch of stuff, you know, in the shed, cleaned up some stuff, put stuff on pallets. My homemade excavator has a weird hydraulic leak from this reservoir that I've been trying to figure out where it is. I come back here, wipe it off, and the next thing you know, everything's full of oil again. I have put some RTV silicone around some of the threads, and it now seems like it's leaking right here. So it's like, I don't know. It's one of them things where I really don't want to drain all the oil and take the reservoir out because I'm kind of done working on hydraulic stuff for now because I've been working on a lot of hydraulic stuff recently, and I just kind of want to break. And another thing is my forklift. I mentioned last month that I was going to get a hydraulic cylinder for it. And I did. So this has a 48-inch hydraulic cylinder, and it gets very high when it goes up because it actually goes 48 inches higher than, you know, what it is down. So as soon as I raise those forks up, that cylinder starts sticking way up. So the fork's up all the way. That very top where my finger is way up there. And this only has the forks lift like 48 inches higher. So, but it's one of them trade-offs where I don't have to listen to that really loud electric winch. You don't have to have, you know, the big alternator I had on here. It can lift a lot more. It actually can lift so much that it actually lifts the whole back of this forklift up at idle. And it lifts probably close to 1,400 pounds now compared to the original when I built this at 1,000 pounds. It's more to 1,400 now just because that cylinder can actually lift so much. I just about could lift a whole pallet of concrete block. So I'm very impressed with that. And of course I got shorter forks recently, which the other ones are back there somewhere. But that's going to be it for this video. And thanks for watching. And like I was showing you, lots of projects coming up. And you'll see the part 1 of that bulldozer on Saturday.